Humans, we are profoundly disconnected. We live in an artificial habitat that we've created, and it shields us from the elements, which is a good thing. But the downside of this is that we have never been more disconnected from the cosmos around us, from the people around us, and most tragically, from ourselves. And in the society, to protect ourselves, we often live as masked in relation to others. We don't live in keeping with our true selves or our authentic personas. This course, the 7 Key Relationships, is designed to heal those ruptures. So in this series, we are bridging the gap between our fabricated personas and our authentic self, our authentic being. And we're transitioning from God as a concept that we relate to and have faith in, to God as the divine other who presences in person to engage with us. The primary barrier to this connection is the mask. There's an old Japanese proverb that says that we have 3 masks. The first mask is our professional face, the one we wear, the one that we put on and wear when we go out into the world. When we wear this mask, we're trying to tell people who we are, and it is also constructed in relation to the world around us, where we're also telling ourselves who we need to be in order to be accepted and to belong in this world. Then there's the second mask, and that's the one that we only show our close friends and family. You get to see a bit deeper, and in many situations we're also trying to tell them who we are and letting them tell us who we are. And then there's the third mask, which is the truest reflection of what we are. This is a mask and a face that we even hide from ourselves, and most especially from God. The journey of the urban mystic is the journey of unmasking, and it's the call to unmask and live as one that is unmasked. We define intimacy as intimacy. It is the courage to be fully seen so that we can heal from the shame and fear that trip us up in life. And it also is the only way in which we can authentically relate to ourselves, relate to others, and relate to God. Because you can't build intimacy with a mask. You need to try and build intimacy with the person behind the mask. And that's the real challenge that we all face and that we are taking up in this series on the 7 Key Relationships. So this is a formational series, not an informational one. Think of this like a yoga class rather than a lecture. The value doesn't come from the expertise of a presenter. It comes from your active participation in the sessions and your active pursuits between the sessions. Your active participation in the sessions consists of storytelling and deep listening. Storytelling is where you tell the story of your relationship, and deep listening is when you take the time to listen to another's relationship, to them telling their story. But here you're not listening to respond, you're not listening to question, you're not listening to give feedback, you're listening to try and see the individual and hear the individual for who they are and what their story means to them. And then between the sessions, you're practicing 2 things. The one thing is going to be mindfulness, which is the practice of simply being present to yourself and being present to what comes up. And the second is for the invitation to God to draw near to you in person, to engage with you, and to wait for that, and not get into the dynamics of trying to fill in the blanks when God is not there, or find ways to try and speak of God's absence as though it's God's presence, but to actually genuinely become present to the absence of God, or genuinely present to how God responds to you. And we'll go into more of that later, but those are the vital practices in this series. So we'll go through 7 key relationships, and each session we're going to focus on a different one, and we're going to focus on our relationship with that relationship. Beginning with our relationship with nature, work and friends, moving on to our relationship with family, and all of that is going to prepare for us to get into telling the story of our deeper relationships, which is a relationship with a romantic other, ourself, and God. There's a saying that goes that we don't learn from experience alone, we learn as we reflect on it. So we shed the ought tos and should haves in this series, and we speak in the first person. We listen to it standing on holy ground, which is the holy ground of being present deeply to another as they tell the story. So welcome to the journey of being seen, first and foremost by yourself, secondly by the participants in the series, and finally by God, who is also an active participant, even if silent and distant at times during this series.